2024 is upon us. CIB, sealed, graded, loose, all of it 1 year older. NES is almost 40 years old. The PS1 is almost 30 years old. GameCube is over 20 years old. The frickin' Nintendo Switch is 7 years old already, which, like, no part of that feels like it's 7 years old already. That's crazy. But entering into 2024, and dare I say this might be one of the best years to get into retro collecting gaming that we've had in a while. I'm sure that over the past 3-ish years here, a lot of people have completely stopped buying or at least greatly slowed down their video game collecting. Prices went crazy, competition got crazy, it became hard for a lot of people to keep up with it. Well, I can sit here now and pretty confidently say that the speculation, bubble, the craze, all of that has almost completely calmed down now. And even if the prices of video games aren't plummeting, because, you know, it's not really going to be a sharp decline on most prices, the broader market data does support that things are getting cheaper. I just pulled some quick price chart averages here to show you guys. This is just taking the average game price across these consoles at the peak price and comparing it to what it is now, January 2024. And as you can see, basically all of the consoles here are showing a slight decline in prices now, except for Nintendo Wii, but Wii collecting sucks anyway. I'm just kidding. Consoles like Wii U and Sega Genesis are actually seeing their average game price come down by almost 20%, which, like, that is meaningful. That is a lot. Video game collecting in general is slowly becoming more affordable again, which makes sense given that the whole world basically went into a bear market following what happened in 2020, 2021. That type of energy, craze, that couldn't keep up. Everyone should have known that. Now, I do doubt that we're ever going to see, like, 2016, even 2018 pricing again on a lot of stuff. The sharp increase in prices that we did see over the past few years, it's unlikely that all of that is just going to erase itself, at least anytime soon, right? Maybe in 5 to 10 years, if the hobby really loses popularity, prices will just continue sliding, but it's not really the side that I would gamble on. But as the data shows, video games also aren't destined to just keep going up in price indefinitely. And within collecting for certain consoles or certain games, you can of course point to data of like, oh, this game has continually gone up, it hasn't weakened at all, and since the big boom, it's actually more expensive. Games like that are always going to exist as well, and the games that are very popular and very expensive are also going to fluctuate over the years. Trends, social media, YouTube video influence, all of that is going to impact which games are like the really sought after games, you know, the flavor of the month type stuff. Like, I mean, look what just happened to Alien Resurrection, right? The game shot up to like $300 just because someone made a YouTube video about it. Outliers like that don't change the actual trend line, which entering into 2024 is slightly down for basically everything. Of course, the world of sealed and graded video games has crashed completely. Everyone saw Carl Jobst's new video, down 97%, and anyone who's paid any attention to that side of game collecting has been watching the decline happen for almost 3 years now. Sealed and graded games shot up way sharper than any other kind of CIB or loose game, so they also fell much more dramatically. The actual correlation between like factory sealed, graded, high condition, and your average looser CIB copy, the correlation between the prices of those actually isn't all that strong. But a lot of people will still point to sealed and graded video games as to the reason why they can't purchase an Earthbound on Super Nintendo for almost $400 now. That blows my mind. But I digress, because complaints about video game collecting and prices are never going to go away, and I don't think this hobby itself is ever going to go away either. Anytime soon, anyway. So say thank you to every single patron who helps support the channel, as well as the YouTube members. I can't do this without you guys. And let's focus in on sealed and graded video games as we enter into 2024. Generally speaking, we are still in a bear market. And this extends to other collectibles too. TCG, comics, sports cards, all of these collectible categories have been rocked over the past few years. Now, just like with games, we can look at some TCGs like Disney's Lorcana or the new One Piece TCG. Things are still doing really good as we enter into the new year here. There are still subcategories within the overall categories that are going to be performing well relative to everything else. But in general, for collectibles, everything sucks. There is very little excitement in these hobbies right now, and a lot of the narrative, a lot of the talk from people is still doom and gloom about how prices are going down, they're going to continue to go down, or how the prices are literally going to go to zero. And because of this, and because of how a lot of people view sealed and graded video games specifically, there's a lot of stuff that's simply selling way too cheap. This hobby of video game collecting in a lot of ways is very dumb. Many game collectors are just dumb. Now, I know, that's a big statement, right? Oh my god, how could Greg say such a thing? But just hear me out on this. There is still so much widespread hate for graded video games that a lot of people are just paying more for a random raw copy in worse condition than you could just pay for an already graded one. You know how graded stuff is supposed to help optimize buying and selling decisions? Help guide your decision making, right? Like graded stuff isn't the be all end all. Oh my god, you have to go buy a graded one. But it just helps guide your buying decisions. You can better optimize what you do. Right now in video game collecting, it's still like the opposite of that. Graded is treated as if there's something outright wrong with it, which for everyone in this hobby, which for everyone who can look past something being graded, who understands that you're better off buying a 9.6 A+ than you are just gambling a raw copy for the same price, for everyone who has taken just a little bit of time to understand how this works, it's fantastic. Like truly, I am now getting deals on high grade stuff at auction and it's selling for like the same price as a raw random copy. So when I say a lot of collectors in this hobby are dumb, what I mean is that a lot of people are paying way too much money for crap in extremely average condition. Way too many people don't even try to optimize their buying in this hobby. Now you could also argue that it's dumb for people like me to be paying premiums for stuff in nicer condition. At the end of the day, a game is a game, right? If it plays, I mean, what else do you need? But if we are looking at this hobby, video game collecting, from an actual collecting perspective where you want the stuff you purchase to at least retain its value, if not passively appreciate over time, then buying stuff in above average condition at minimum is generally the better option. Obviously, there's limits to what kind of premiums you should pay to get a 9.4 versus a 9.6, or how much extra should you pay to get a 9.8, or if you see a CIB game that's actually in like near mint condition, how much should you pay over price charting? Those are all considerations in themselves. You can't just spend whatever it costs to buy this stuff, but the point is to at least try to optimize these decisions, because what you do now can compound so much in the next 5 to 10 years. And now we're in this hobby where it's pretty much dead outside of people who actually want to own this stuff, people who actually want to be here. Like I said, the speculation, the craze, everything that happened, like most of that stuff has been sold and the vast majority of people have exited the hobby. This is the best time we've had in a while now to be upgrading your stuff, or like I said, trying to pay a bit extra to get something a little bit more premium. Way too many people still navigate their buying decisions by just looking to buy the cheapest possible option regardless of condition. Frankly speaking, that is not a good way to go about most collecting. Assuming the hobby of video game collecting is going to stick around, which I personally think it is going to, at least for another 10-20 years here, it is almost assuredly going to lean more and more towards nicer condition stuff. The premium mint stuff is going to continue to separate itself from your average condition, below average condition stuff. Right now, 2024, we could be talking about 20-50 bucks to go from like your average CIB to buying in one that's actually in nice condition, maybe even near mint. But that is the kind of premium, that gap there between your average copy and your really nice copy, that gap can continue to grow exponentially if this hobby does continue to get more popular in the future. And it's not even about investing in the hobby. I'm not saying, oh, you need to go invest in games, treat all this stuff like an investment. Most of us do buy games for our collections without any immediate intent of selling them anytime soon. The only point I'm making is that if you go out of your way to try and optimize your buying decisions now when you have no intention to sell this stuff, it'll help you greatly in the future if you ever come to a point where you do want to sell your stuff. We saw in 2022, 2023, lots of YouTubers selling out their stuff, right? RGT85 was one of the most popular ones, I think, sold off most of his collection. I sold off my NES collection. This year, I'm probably going to get rid of a lot of my N64 stuff. These are items that were added to collections. These were collections that people had. No intention of selling it. But the reality is, at some point, most of us are going to sell a lot of the games that we own. And this also isn't a call to have FOMO. You need to go out and buy stuff. Oh my god, like prices are as low as they're going to be. We need to buy now. Like that's also not the point here. As we're in this market, this economic climate, we probably have 2-3 years where not much is going to change. Like I don't see any large spikes or catalysts coming out of nowhere to just spike the price of graded games or retro games anytime soon. In that same breath, as we sit right now, I also don't see things sliding another 50% down. The vast majority of downside has already been realized. What we have now is a very calm market. Make 2024 your year of being a smart collector. Don't settle for stuff right now. Be picky about your purchases. Try to get the best condition possible. And And if you see a graded game, for the love of God, understand that you can just break the case if you want to. But if the condition of the graded game is better and the price is going to be lower than raw condition stuff, just break the case open at the end of the day. The hobby isn't going to stay like this forever, and people hating or completely avoiding graded games also isn't going to stay like this forever. Take advantage of it while you can. Take advantage of this calm period. Make 2024 a great frickin' year for collecting. Let me know your own collecting goals for 2024. Hit the like button, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.